Risky behavior.
The views and opinions expressed on this channel are solely those of the host and guest and are intended for entertainment and discussion purposes only. This channel does not promote bias, hatred, or discrimination of any kind. All questions posed and thoughts shared are part of a critical thinking exercise and are not meant to offend or judge any individual or group. We encourage respectful dialogue and love for all. Please remember to think critically and engage thoughtfully. We aim to foster a positive and inclusive community where everyone feels welcome. Thank you for being a part of Risky Behavior ENT.
Risky behavior.
Yo, what's up? What's up? How y'all doing? Welcome back. This is Risky Behavior ENT. I am your humble host, Mr. Diabolical himself, also known as Beware the Messenger or BTM. It's a sick world we live in. Sick world we in. Florida woman kills a 3-year-old with a tire iron. Seems unbelievable, and yet and still it did happen.
This 23-year-old Tallahassee woman faces murder charges, accused of hitting a 3-year-old boy with a tire iron while he was brushing his teeth. The Tallahassee Democrat reports Talia Jefferson was arrested after taking the child to the hospital with severe head trauma. Doctors pronounced the boy dead and medical staff called police. Officers say Jefferson initially told them the child fell while standing at the sink and hit his head on the toilet. But they say the injuries were not consistent with that story, and there were signs of previous abuse. Jefferson lived at the home with the child, his 6-year-old brother, and the boy's parent, who she was in a relationship with. Jeff Petrulis for CBSMiami.com.
Now at 6, heartbreaking, disturbing. New details in the death of a 3-year-old in Tallahassee. Tonight, court documents giving us a look into what led to his death. ABC 27 Chantel Navarro is following this story live in Tallahassee tonight.
Newly released documents show Talia Jefferson, the woman accused of killing the 3-year-old boy, was in a relationship with the boy's mother. Now she's in jail, and the boy's 6-year-old older sibling is in custody of Child Protective Services. So here's what we found in the court documents. Jefferson told the officers she threw a tire iron at 3-year-old Miguel after he refused to get off the sink while brushing his teeth. She admitted to hitting him a couple of times after initial contact, with injuries to his head and face that she initially told police happened after he hit his head on the toilet. Documents also show that Jefferson waited hours before taking the boy to the hospital and knew he was dead by the time they arrived. Today, I talked to Miguel's mother, Erica Jenkins. The two had been in a relationship for 4 years. Tonight, she says she's still trying to come to terms with what happened to her son. Two had been in a relationship for 4 years. Tonight, she says she's still trying to come to terms with what happened to her son.
So just pray for us and stop speculating, because I still don't know the full details of what went on with my child. And I'm still waiting to hear back from investigators on what exactly went on.
It's important to know that court documents say that Miguel had other scars on his body consistent with prior abuse. Jefferson admitted to officers that she's hit the boy in the past, along with his other older sibling, who's now with DCF. The state's attorney's office says that more charges could follow for other people involved in this case, and she's expected back in court tomorrow morning. For now in Tallahassee, Chantel Navarro, ABC 27.
Thanks, Chantel. And it's estimated that 1 out of every 7 children in the U.S. experienced some form of child abuse in the past year. Since the pandemic, though, there has been an increase in cases. There are resources to help. If you believe a child you've come in contact with is a victim of abuse, you can call the Florida Abuse Hotline, or you can text them. You see those numbers there on your screen now. And that information is also on our website at WTXL.
You know what that means? If it's more abuses than in the pandemic, then that means the more time these kids spend with their parents, like locked in the house, the more at danger they are. Definitely they need to have some charges with this mom. I mean, the girlfriend admitted that, well, I don't know if she's the girlfriend or the boyfriend. I would assume she plays the stud role, right? She's admitted to hitting the kids before, and so um the mom has been allowing this woman to beat her children. Um I'm not surprised. They do say that statistically, these lesbian relationships are more violent, than just regular boyfriend girlfriend relationships, husband wife, heterosexual relationships. It's just sad to sit there and think that somebody would. First of all, like, I was talking to my homie Prince about this, right? And I was like, who just has tire irons around the house? Like, you're yelling at a kid to get off the sink and you look down and there's a tire iron right there. Like, or did you go out to the car and grab it? And you just what? You just throw it at a kid, the kid falls, and imagine that. Right? Somebody get off the sink. You throw a tire iron at a kid, and while they're on the ground hurt or crying or whatever, you just what? Eh, People just, man, it's some evil people in this world, man. Who does that just to a child or anybody? Oh man. Sad, man. I just cowards, man. Beating up on kids. I got an article here from Law and Crime. Shout out to Law and Crime. I actually subscribe to them on YouTube and I react to some of their videos too, man. They do great with reporting the news. I mean, awesome jobs. Recall seeing the blood spray. Woman fatally beat girlfriend's 3-year-old boy with the tire iron. Waited until he was likely deceased before taking him to the hospital, man. And I'm telling you, man, you single mothers out there, y'all need to watch who you bringing around your kids. Look at this. To Leah Jefferson. Look. A Florida woman will spend the rest of her days behind bars after she beat her girlfriend's 3-year-old son to death with a tire iron and then waited over 3 hours to take him to the hospital after he likely had already died. Talia Jefferson, age 28, pleaded no contest to first-degree murder and aggravated child abuse on Tuesday in the 2020 death of her girlfriend's son, identified by local media as Miguel. The judge sentenced her to life in prison for the murder charge and 30 years in prison for the child abuse charge. Probable cause arrest affidavit said Jefferson drove the boy to the hospital around 7 p.m. on October 19, 2020. He was unresponsive with a body temperature of just 88 degrees and suffered severe trauma to his face and head. This woman beat a 3-year-old, a little baby, in the face and head with a tire iron. That's, man, that's insane. Doctors pronounced him dead minutes after arrival. Hospital staff then quickly called the Tallahassee Police Department. Jefferson, who lived with her girlfriend, Miguel and his 6-year-old sibling claimed the boy was standing on the sink brushing his teeth when he fell and hit the toilet, causing the porcelain to shatter. The affidavit said cops noted at least 6 deep lacerations on his head and face, along with a nearly severed finger, which I would assume is likely him trying to cover his face or protect himself in some way. Or, she's swinging so hard that she's nearly took his finger off. As investigators determined the injuries were not consistent with a fall, as Jefferson had claimed. Cops also noted Miguel had injuries throughout his body in various stages of healing. So, um, this is what I'm saying. The mom definitely needs to be charged as well. He had injuries over his body in various stages of healing, meaning he had been being abused. She beat him all the time. And any mom, I mean, if you have a 3-year-old, they don't take baths by themselves. It would be impossible for her not to see that he had injuries over his body. Post Miranda, Jefferson told detectives she had watched Miguel all day while his mother was at work and his siblings at school. The sibling came home from school around 3:15 p.m. Some 20 minutes later, she told Miguel to brush his teeth. She went into the bathroom and saw that he was standing at the sink. Jefferson said she told him to get down and momentarily left the bathroom. That's when she said he fell and hit the toilet. The lacerations were caused by the shattered toilet, she insisted. And you know what makes this so dumb? I mean, this is petty of me, right? But anybody got a 3-year-old out there? I mean, if you got a 3-year-old that actually goes and brush their teeth when you tell them to, I wouldn't give a damn if they was hanging from the fucking ceiling while doing it. That's an amazing 3-year-old that listens and goes and brushes their teeth. You usually got to chase them around. But cops confronted her about her timeline. Had she brought Miguel to the hospital immediately after he suffered his injuries, she would have arrived around 4 p.m., not 7 p.m. Investigators also told her the boy's injuries were not consistent with a fall. That's when she admitted to hitting him with a tire iron, the affidavit said. She told cops she became angry when the boy refused to climb down from the sink. Jefferson grabbed the tire iron from a toolkit and threw it at him, hitting him in the side of the face. It also hit the toilet, which is what actually caused it to shatter, the affidavit said. She hit the boy a total of 3 or 4 times, she said. She recalled seeing blood spray from Miguel's wounds as she struck him, detectives wrote. Oh my God. Jefferson also admitted the boy was likely deceased when she took him to the hospital. Cops arrested Jefferson, and she's been in jail ever since. Prosecutors had been seeking the death penalty before the plea. Authorities determined that Miguel and his siblings were subjected to prior abuse. The Department of Children and Families took custody of the sibling. This is insane. And then when you look at the news story, you see the mom on the news crying like, I'm still trying to figure out what was going on too. Like, get the fuck out of here. You know exactly what was going on. We know what was going on. How you didn't know? You lived there. That's your child, right? That's your 3-year-old. Like I said, 3-year-olds don't dress themselves, and you got to help them take a bath. You got to lotion them up so their skin don't get dry and cracked and they itch. So at some point, you saw your 3-year-old's body now. Come on. You had to know. You had to know. this is insane. I could say a lot of things, but I mean, I only get evil thoughts reading stories like this. Somebody that wants to be big and tough and beat up on a 3-year-old. Like, come on. This is just sad, man. I don't know. I ain't got too much to say. Stuff like this make my blood boil, man. Like, oh my God. This is a terrible story, a very, very sad story. So anywho, man, thank y'all for tuning in. Just want to make you aware of things like this that happen. News with children usually is not covered. People don't get out in the streets and march and fight about things like this. Usually it just gets swept under the rug for some weird reason. I guess it doesn't fit anybody's political agenda. Stories like this. Um, so anywho, man, appreciate y'all tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Feel free to share this story with somebody else. Use it as a conversation piece. Something to talk about amongst your friends. Bring awareness to crimes like this against children. I will catch y'all later.
Risky behavior.